Welcome to Command Control Power, the longest-running Apple consulting podcast. For over 10 years, we've produced weekly episodes featuring epic tales of tech support and troubleshooting, discussions about managing our clients and businesses, and interviews with colleagues and vendors. For our pro listeners, we offer Patreon-exclusive shows. This private podcast feed is tailor-made for IT professionals looking for advice and guidance on the more challenging aspects of running your practice, working with your clients and employees, and managing your fleets of devices. For a modest monthly contribution, you'll unlock a world of deeper Apple expertise, meaningful connections, and a shared passion for Apple technology. Simply visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support. And now on to the show.
Welcome to another edition of Command Control Power. We got another full house here, everybody present and accounted for. I wanted to start off with a little bit of a complaint or rant. I use Backblaze for backing up my computer and my clients' computers. And I had a recent discourse with someone from customer support. And if you sign up for Backblaze for the year, for 12 months, you pay $99. And if you go month to month, you pay $9. So not a big savings by going for the year. And when I would sign up my clients, I would put them on a year plan. And I got small amounts of customers, locations with 2, 3 Macs, 5 Macs, a few with a few more. And people come and go and people drop off. And I've been using Backblaze now for at least, I haven't checked it, maybe 7 years. So if somebody left and I needed to return a license back and cancel the license, I'd always write to customer support right through the chat. And I'm using Backblaze groups, and they would prorate whatever money was during the term of that 12 months that I had signed up for. So I'd get like $44 back or $60. It was significant. So most recently I needed to I recalled a license and I was looking for the prorated amount. And they said, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that anymore because we need to adhere to our policy. And I said, well, what do you mean your policy? I said, I've been doing this for years. We can't do that because you're taking advantage of the plan, because you're getting extra value by setting up for a year and then you're not using a license for the full year. And that made no sense to me because it's not a huge savings. And I said,
it's 8%, all of 8% is the savings.
And I said, that makes a little bit of a difference to me. It may not make a difference to a bigger player, but to me, it hurts me a little bit to have to eat $40 or eat $60 because I had signed up for all these people on these 1-year plans. And I guess had I known that was the policy, I wouldn't have kept on doing it. And nobody ever said to me, oh, we're doing you a solid by doing this back and we really shouldn't, but we're giving you the money back.
Right.
I said, I do a podcast and I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. This seems like a little heavy-handed. This is in this modern changing world, people come and go with businesses all the time. So I'll go month to month. That's what I did. I went back into every single instance I had and changed the billing from 1 year to month. But unfortunately, this is not going to happen until those contracts renew.
That was my question. Yeah.
And if I need to get some prorated amounts, they just told me to eat it. So that just doesn't sound very fair. Now, we've talked about Backblaze before, and we never like to talk badly about a vendor, especially a vendor that we use. And I'm going to still use them. It's not that, the heck with you guys, I'm going to Crash Plan. Carbonite, Dolly Drive. I'm going to use Dolly Drive.
There we go.
Yeah, there it
Cloud
is.
Mirrors.
Cloud Mirrors.
Mosey. What? I don't even know if Mosey's in business anymore. Or what's the other one? iDrive. I'm going to do iDrive. Heck with you guys. But in fact, they do some things. We talked about recent challenges, and you might want to talk about the challenge again, Joe, that you had trouble recovering the data, and you could probably just give us the Reader's Digest version on that story. Backblaze, they don't have the greatest interface for using groups, and you suffer through, and you're like, okay, somebody I partnered with, and I'm getting a little bit of a spiff because I'm going when I sign them and they use my affiliate code and that sort of thing. So you take the good with the bad, and you try to be, as Joe would say, I would say, have your big boy pants on, and you take your licks.
It's
when
right.
when you need to. Take your
Yeah.
lips.
I say it too
licks.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take your licks when you can. I'm not going to say any more about it. It wasn't good. I worded it very eloquently in the Backblaze Slack channel to one of the Backblaze people that are on there.
I'm glad you brought that to our attention because I wasn't in the Backblaze channel. I guess I just haven't really needed to get support through that channel. So I had never signed up, but you invited us in to look at that thread, and I scrolled back and I found several people complaining like about various issues. You just mentioned some of them, Jerry.
Adam Rice had an issue, I believe.
Adam had a great issue. Yeah, he's actually, of all issues, like a problem restoring that, which is that's pretty
Like corrupted
bad,
data or something?
It was the Backblaze Restore app not working, and I forget what his issue was specifically. It was giving us some errors, and then like subsequent to that, like a month goes by where he didn't really get a response, and then like he updated the thread with, hey, like now this app is actually just like hanging, like it's just not working at all, basically. Shouldn't this work? Didn't really get great support that I could see getting that issue resolved. His answer was like, I've found another way to restore this data by now. I'd love to know like that this is solved, or is there something I'm doing wrong? So that was a little concerning. So it was enlightening to see that channel and see that there are some issues with Backblaze. Also, I hope you don't work on Thursdays because like Backblaze is like offline or whatever.
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, just like that crazy like midday Thursday. I hope you don't try to create any new users, or it depends because a lot of times it works, but other times it doesn't. And the errors are not like, hey, no worries, we're down for maintenance, this is planned. It's can't log in. Are you sure your user account even exists? And it's just, oh, what? So it's like a scary Thursday, freaky Thursday freak out. Exactly.
And we talked about that on the show too. And my take on this was their response, or official response was, we're doing this when we know it's going to have the least amount of impact for our users. But it's no, man, you don't want to pay overtime for somebody to come in after hours to do your maintenance.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Because
you don't want to give me my money back, my prorated money back. Let's call it what it is.
Call it what it is. I can understand. Okay. They have a thing where you prepay and you get a discount. That's nice. That's fair. And they also, to your point, it's like they get your money up front also. So if they're investing it well, they can make some of that percentage back. They're giving you 8% off the top. If they
can leverage your dollars.
They can leverage your dollars by invest and get maybe get 4% back on a money market fund even, or better in other ways. So it's not exactly that you're not holding up your end of the bargain. Like, you guys have my money up front. You can do with it what you want as I get the service over time. So it's a two-way street. I think that it was never their policy to refund that. But in practice, they did it every single time. And so we all got used to like, that's the way it works. And maybe we started asking for it a little bit like with expectation. Go ahead and credit me back, please. That'll be fine if you just send me my money back. And maybe they want to like dial that back a little bit, saying there's no guarantee we'll do this in the future. But that's a different way to respond. Like, they could have responded in the chat. We're happy to do that. Just so you know, in case it helps you planning in the future, this is not a guarantee that we'll offer this, whatever. It's not our policy, but we're happy to honor it.
They did say that.
Eventually, but not initially. I mean, initially they said, no, we're not giving you your money back, right?
No, it happened 2 times, and I've got this small install base. It's just me. There's just no way I'm abusing their policy. And Joe, you had a problem with the drive that they sent you.
That's you reminded me of that, and it's exactly right. That was concerning, and that made me lose a little bit of my technical capital, as I like to say with my clients, because we recommended Backblaze. She's been paying for it for years. Her iMac dies. We knew that she had Backblaze, but the Time Machine backup was out of date. No problem, client. We're going to order that recovery drive. Like, by the time it gets here, you'll have the new computer. We'll be good to go. Drive gets there. We go through the project and it starts transferring data, and then it starts crapping out. And Tim's, this is weird. It's not normally I just copy the folder from the Finder, and now it's like hanging and whatever's happening. So he installs Carbon Copy Cloner. This way, like it can recover from a copy operation in progress. It gets this far, maybe it craps out, it resumes. Okay, so like we did that a few times manually, and then we found it kept failing. So Tim added it'll run hourly. So if it's not in the middle of the cloning operation, it'll just try again within the next hour. And that made a little bit of progress. Then eventually it just stopped working. And we're like, in the meantime, when this first came up, we're like, let's order another recovery drive just in case this clone thing doesn't work. But in the middle of all this, the client was like, is my data okay? Not saying this part, but like you guys recommended that this was my backup, and I was made to believe that everything's safe. And here we are trying to restore the data the one time this has ever happened, and it's not working. What have I been paying for all these years? So that's like, I was imagining her attitude. So it made us look like we had to save face a little bit by saying there's no worries, like we'll order another drive. But I was also a little concerned. I'm like, is the problem on the data layer or like the physical layer? Was the problem in the data center when they copied the data and now it's just not reading it because it's corrupted? Or is it more likely the hardware, which, okay, that's what it turned out to be, but thank goodness, exactly. And so another little example with Backblaze, like you said, Jerry, I use them. I'm planning to continue using them. I don't see any good alternatives necessarily, but I hope they like button some of this stuff up, even if it means, hey, there's no refunds. Then we know there's no refunds. Now I can plan for that.
Well, I had a question based on that too. This is not just after or within the first year. This is any time it renews, right? So
yeah.
So I thought maybe that first year, I get it. All right, we tried to get that 1 year, maybe. But then after that, maybe I've been a customer for 5 years. What the hell?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. The other thing, and since we're really dishing on them, so I'll mention this. I mentioned this on another show, that typically, unless your settings for your groups are specific, and it's specific per group, you got to make sure that it renews not at the 2-year level, because that'll be the default. How convenient. You have to renew at the 1-year level if you were doing the 1-year contract. But now I'm doing month to month, so it doesn't really matter. But you got to keep your eye on that, because if you don't and you're asleep at the wheel, all of a sudden, this client, which potentially could be dodgy for you, has renewed at the 2-year level. And based on their draconian policies now, they're not going to give you that money back. And the other thing is that sometimes you got to be careful that you don't have unused licenses just hanging out in the breeze.
Yep.
And this happened to me and we talked about this on a show, Joe, where I found that there were some licenses. And again, I lost a couple of employees with my offering through attrition. And if you don't reclaim those licenses, you just keep on getting charged if you don't use them. So let's say the contract renewed and you had 8 licenses, but only 6 were being used. Guess what? You're still paying for 8.
Yep.
So you got to keep an eye on that too. And the problem too with this is that their interface, it doesn't load quickly, the GUI that we have to use for managing groups, and it's all layered and nested different things that you need to go to find.
There's billing over here, group management over here. It's a little tricky.
It's
fragmented. And actually, they moved the billing to like the little icon now, so it's in a different two different places to check. Yeah, it's tricky. I will say there's one thing. I had a good interaction with Backblaze recently, so just to ensure we're not too biased against them, I checked my affiliate link, and I noticed that when you go to your affiliate program link and it shows in the address bar with the little hashtag like your affiliate code kind of thing, that was no longer showing. So I thought, is my link still working? So I checked with them, and they said, oh, like that was the wrong link. I used this one. And so I fixed it, and I'm still not sure if actually the original link was incorrect or not, because the new method, that's just the way that it works. Like it must redirect to not show the little affiliate portion of the link once it loads or whatever. So I'm not sure if there was ever an issue in the beginning, but I said, man, this is concerning because I've been using that link for I don't know how long. How do I know? And they said, we don't have any way to track that if you sent them and they weren't. But they said, we will, if you give us a list of people you referred, we'll see if they signed up and we'll retroactively apply that credit for you. So we'll associate your account with them and you'll get the affiliate revenue from that. So I thought that was very generous actually for them to offer that as part of the affiliate program, because I was sitting there thinking, man, this is just, I've had a 1Password affiliate program, Dropbox, and a few of them, I just go to check one day, is this still active or whatever? And it's, oh, you're not part of that program anymore. And through, I forget which, is it Commission Junction or Performance Horizon, one of those companies. But yeah, it's sketchy. And I don't remember, maybe I got an email, I just don't remember it, but getting a message saying, hey, you're no longer in that program. So it's frustrating when you think, man, that was like 2 years of revenue that I could have had. I don't know when this stopped working, but that On the plus side, that was a nice offer that they sent.
Yeah, if it's any comfort, happened to me with Drive Savers, where I noticed the same thing, where I wasn't seeing the affiliate code anymore in the URL, but it's actually embedded in the HTML. Okay. So it was still working. So if that kind of puts you at ease, it was probably still working.
It may be okay.
What was that site you mentioned, Joe? Affiliate Junction?
Commission Junction. Or affiliate or Performance Horizon Group was the other one. I
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, I just can't get out of my head now. Junction. What's your function?
Right.
Now it's in my head.
Yeah, totally. I think what's that band? Blind Melon, I think, covered that maybe.
They covered a few like children's songs. Like Three is a Magic Number is a good one.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was on a compilation with them and like someone else did Commission Junction. Whatever. Yeah.
Commission.
And the guy who used to sing all those, you guys are too young to remember this. So there used to be a variety show hosted by this guy named Merv Griffin.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he had this trumpet player who was his band leader named Jack Sheldon, and he used to sing. And so that's Jack Sheldon singing all those rock.
Did he sing "I'm Just a Bill" on Capitol Hill?
That's a good one too.
I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill.
We'll have to check it on YouTube, but he very well made it. Yeah,
he had this real in the show notes, everybody.
That's right.
He had this real earthy voice.
You can see my video is better, right? Can you guys tell?
Yes. Yeah,
so that's a Sequoia thing. I'm using the virtual background feature of Sequoia, which is just much better than any of the ones I've seen. We've been using StreamYard to broadcast these videos. They have the virtual background option built in, and it's glitchy. Little like things flying around behind you, and like it's fuzzy and all this stuff. But Sequoia has the built-in virtual background. So I'm using continuity camera with a virtual background, same image in the background, but it just works much better. It's much cleaner. It's overall better. So that's a pro for Sequoia. It didn't take me till next September to upgrade to the new Mac OS. So here we are. It's only November. Not so bad.
What do you got, Jerry?
The name of that song is "How a Bill Becomes a Law." Is that the one?
Yeah, I think that's called.
All right, I'm gonna have to do more work on that.
Okay, please do.
Now I got my phone running in the background. So here's another complaint. Amazon, right? I used to have Amazon affiliate codes, and I used to make a little bit of dough, significant amount of dough, referring a monitor that a client should buy and send them the link. And somehow they shut that down. And I tried to fix it, and they came up with some reasons why I can't use their affiliate code. So forget about that. So I buy a pair of AirPods Pro as a gift for one of the people that's godparent to one of my kids. Mm-hmm. And we sent him down there. He doesn't like them. He tried them before. We didn't know this. So he wants to send them back. So I make the arrangements for him to send them back through Amazon. And these were purchased directly from Amazon, not through a third-party retailer. Amazon, with certain types of what they call, air quotes, high value electronics, they create this routine where they won't generate a label for you to send it out. They need to send a call tag, and the call tag needs to be picked up at the location of where the device was delivered. Wait a minute. So I call up Amazon on the phone because I was trying to do it online, and I was getting no option to just generate a printed PDF because I was going to email it to them and have them print it out and put it on the box and send it back at their local UPS drop off. And they couldn't, there was just no way they could do this. So I got Amazon on the phone, and they're like, no, this is a high value thing and we need to treat it a little differently. And as Joe would say, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I said, I've got,
he does now.
I've got monitors delivered to me that are $600, $800 monitors that I've sent back for whatever reason. And there's no special call tag. Right. I could bring it to what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. So
are they thinking maybe people are trying to send back counterfeit items in place of Apple products or something?
Probably. The AirPods is a small item like a phone, perhaps, or like a iPod used to be. And it might be easier for something like that to fall through the cracks, possibly. So they send it back, right? And through the proper channel. And so now I'm waiting for the credit. And I can't give you the exact play-by-play. But normally, if it's scanned in by UPS, if you say charge the original credit card, you have to wait typically like 3 days, 5 days. If you say, no, just give me an Amazon credit, you get the credit immediately. So it's in the channel, it's starting to head back, and I'm seeing these projected dates for being received. And they're giving themselves like a 2-week window to be received, and then further out, like November 26th, to get credit back on this thing that was sent back in the beginning of November. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I call them up after a couple of weeks, and they're like, oh, that's our policy. That's our policy. It's still in transit. We have to validate it. And I'm like, it wasn't opened. It's that Apple, of course, doesn't seal the devices and shrink anymore. There's just the pull tabs.
Right.
The pull tabs were not activated. And they're like, we haven't blah, blah, blah. And then
you do say
days go by, days go by, and it shows that it's been received. And I'm still saying like received on the 13th, and I'm just projecting these numbers, but they were pretty accurate. Credit will be issued on the 26th. And so I called them up, and I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, we really haven't received it. And I'm like, well, on my screen, it says that you received it. So what I think is going on here is they're having trouble with fulfillment centers, or people are IDing these products as products that are high value that you can make disappear quite easily. And they're having problems with maybe fraud, but that's not my problem. So I said to them, I said, look, if you're having problems with your system, you don't penalize me, who's been an Amazon. Thank you for being an Amazon Prime member for X amount of years, because that's the first thing they say to you when you call them up. And I said, why should you penalize me for the problems that you're having with your fulfillment centers? Like, I want my credit now. So who knows? I don't know if I've got my credit. Yeah, it's bad.
And needless to say, you won't buy this guy another gift until you get your money back, right? So he's waiting for his present.
Yeah, I don't know if he's waiting for his present. You'd be waiting for your present, Sam. I know. Like if you already had the AirPods, you're like, yeah, Jerry, where's my present? I already have these. But no, that's not my issue. My issue is Amazon and I told them, I said, this is why I subscribe to Amazon Prime, because of the ease of returns. And if you look at our history, we buy thousands and thousands of dollars from you on a yearly basis. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's crazy town, man. Yeah. Can I feed off of that? Because I have a story where a company really pissed me off like that too. So we get a couple new iPhones for my wife and I, and what we usually do is hand down the iPhones to the kids. And my daughter doesn't complain much, but her phone's a little older and a little beat up. So I was like, you know what? They have this deal where if you bring in an iPhone 13, you'll get the 16 for whatever. So I'm like,
sound vaguely familiar, Joe?
Oh yeah, this is a page out of my playbook. It's great. It actually,
it's $9 a month if I do that. If I want to pay the cycle, so
it's amazing. Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it. So I'm like, kid, you're getting a new iPhone 16 Pro. Whoa, that's amazing. She was like super excited.
You're the best dad ever.
Yeah, I'm awesome. Yeah. So I have it on delivery to her house at school, and I'm watching it every day. And like mine came in, no problem. Both my wife and mine came in, no problem. Hers just, it would say like delivery expected, and then something showed like a delay one day. I'm like, here we go. So then like,
was it DHL or UPS?
No, it was like this weird, I wish I had the name of it in front of me, but your story just made me think of it. So I didn't have any notes about it, but it was a weird special delivery company that was like for this purpose in the area. It wasn't any of the big ones, which is my first flag. But the next morning, what would happen is every day it would say delivery expected today. And then it didn't happen. Next day, delivery expected the new day. And I was like, this is a mess.
It wasn't Vinny Boombot's delivery service, was it?
No, it wasn't Vinny Boombot. It was Mr. Carter. No, it was so. The next day, it says delivery.
Jerry fell out of his chair over this one. That's good.
That's Rodney. Sam?
Huh?
Mr. That's Rodney. No, Vinny Boombot's.
Oh, Vinny Boombot's is Rodney. Yes. Yeah. I was doing Welcome Back Carter after that. But anyway, I lost my train of thought now. All right. So it says, congratulations, delivered. So I text her. I'm like, go get it. It's there. She texted me like 10 minutes later. She's, I walked around every place in this house. This phone is not here. Like she went outside, went to the, and I'm like, what? And then 2 hours later, I refresh again and it says item lost. I'm like, wait, you just said it was delivered and now you're saying item lost.
Sketchy.
Really sketchy.
Yeah.
So I start doing my complaining. It was right before I was leaving for China. So it didn't get resolved before I left. I said, I'll work on this when I get there. And I can't get to the AT&T site from China in my hotel.
Naturally.
I could on my phone somehow. I'm not sure how, but somehow I was able to. I do know.
I get it. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm talking with them, but I can't use data and cellular on my phone at the same time. It was a nightmare. So I'm calling them at 10 o'clock at night, my time, trying to resolve it when they open in the morning.
Wow.
And just doing this, and then I can't verify things online because it's just this whole big nightmare. And so there's this ton back. So all this, I go, look, the device is stolen. Like, it's clear. It's something. Just give me my money back or send a new phone. Like, we can't just do that. We got to blacklist that device. So if it gets registered, I'm like, okay, take care of that, but send me my damn phone. So anyway, they go, okay, hold on 1 second. We're going to clear that, blacklist that device, IMEI, and then we're going to refresh her phone upgrade options. So it says upgrade available now. Because that's the thing, is her phone line didn't say upgrade available. They come back like 10 minutes later. I'm sorry, we're having trouble with the system. We can't clear the upgrade. We're going to have to kick it up to so. And I will spare you guys. I'm going to fast forward this because this was hours and days of different supervisors and people and this and that, to the point where I was screaming so loud in my hotel room.
Wow.
I'm like, you guys are freaking morons. I can't believe this. You can't just get a phone to me. I don't understand the level of incompetence.
I ordered a phone. Yeah. It was not delivered. What is the problem here?
What's the problem? Someone couldn't clear this stupid problem. Is 2 different tickets were created so we could clear one, but not
that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
That's a YP, not an MP. I'm bugging out and I'm like exhausted because the phone becomes midnight. So anyway, finally, I got this one supervisor. I got it all taken care of. I'm like, okay, so I can't check data to show the status update, but I want you to call me back in 10 minutes. I'm going to check online after we hang up and see if I can.
Got it.
And so she's like, okay. So I check and it's not fixed. Damn it. So I'm waiting for her to call me back. No call happens. And then I realized when midnight struck, my phone went to do not disturb.
Oh, no.
And I missed the call back.
Oh my God.
But after all this, the only way they were able to clear it was not for delivery. She had to go pick it up in a store. Okay. And that was the only possible way. But they had to make sure that the store had it because the 256 were not available typically. Mm-hmm. And finally, she confirmed, I have it in my hands. I got my phone. This was like a week and a half. No, 2 weeks. After we originally started the process.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry, that was longer than I expected it to be, but thanks for hanging.
No, that's a saga. That's
Yeah, and the emotional cost to you.
Yes.
For the hours and the aggravation and standing on a hotel rooftop in China talking to them.
Yep.
No, but sorry, Joe. I just had to call back.
That was a good call.
I almost missed it at first. Yeah. That's right. Rooftop.
No, but the emotional cost and the you just feel like you've lost years on your life.
Yeah. Really. I got like a total of maybe $70 over the course of multiple calls. Now, what are you going to give me on this call? We could offer you $20. I'm like, oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. No, that reminds me of a little bit of the saga that I dealt with a similar kind of trade-in situation, which I've talked about on the show, but it all played out. It all worked out well. But there were a couple of hiccups during that process too, where I got the email from Apple saying, we're still expecting to get your trade-in. So in my case, Ashley had a broken iPhone 12 Pro, which was my phone 4 years ago now or whatever. So she's been using it for the last 2 or 3 years. Eventually, both sides of the phone were broken, and I'm just like waiting to solve that when we decide what to do. What I decided to do was send it in for an AppleCare Plus repair. They'll just swap out the phone. It's the front and the back. I asked for the advanced replacement. You get the new phone, and then you send back the old phone. And I also simultaneously did the trade-in of a working iPhone 12 Pro, not one with a broken screen and all that. And so we got the same deal where actually we got $800 off the new iPhone 16, which was great. Again, similar thing. We owed like $2 a month or something like that for the difference in price. So great deal all around. But then I realized, like, is Apple going to flag this? Because here I am saying this phone has a broken screen and back. I'm telling these people that it's totally destroyed, and I'm telling these people that it's a perfectly working phone. Is Apple going to figure this out? So then when I get the email that's, we still haven't received your device, and then I go in and I check and it had been delivered, I'm like, oh crap. So it was delivered. Apple's emailing me that. So sure enough, though, the next morning they must have opened the box and then they confirmed that they had it. So then I got the email saying, we have received your device. So that all worked out very smoothly ultimately, but I was a little concerned at first. And every step of the way, it's like when you know what you're doing, it makes it harder for the other side, because I knew exactly what I needed to do. I'm like, all right, I need an AppleCare Plus repair. I want the advanced shipment. Like, I know exactly what needs to happen. So I select those options in Apple's repair thing, and I ask for the replacement. And then you get a chat person who's, hey, so what's going on? I'm like, I already answered all the stupid questions. What do you mean? I just need you to just click a few buttons and send me a new phone. And they're like, rest assured. It's just like over and over, rest assured, rest assured. And I'm just like, I'm assured. I just finished the job. I don't want to be on this chat anymore to answer more questions about it. Like, the end result is I need a new phone. I'm very clear on that. And I'm willing to pay. I'd understand. Yeah.
Day one in training, they tell you to take ownership of the customer's problem.
That's good. Yeah.
It must be frustrating for you, Joe. Yeah, we know how you feel, and we're going to see what we can do to make things right for you.
Then I just point my AI response at his AI flowchart that he's spitting at me. So I joked with you guys and I did it. I wrote back, I'm resting assured over here that you're going to solve this for me. But yeah, it is a good deal when you process it in that way. Like if you're like in your case, your daughter's going to keep her phone for those 3 years probably at this point.
She's going to have to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not getting another one.
Totally. Same with Ashley, the AppleCare on there and everything. And that's going to be a good phone for 3 years. No problem. So yeah, it's a no-brainer to take the trade-in credit. And so, yeah, that worked out well. Meanwhile, I had my 13 Pro, and Sam, you had asked about that at one point, about a family member and this and that. But I told you that it was the 1 terabyte. I ended up selling it on eBay for like $500, I think. So that's my 2 versions ago, 3-year-old phone. And it still held pretty nice chunk of change for that. That was just a better way to go about it.
Some terrorist was glad to pay for that phone at that price.
Yeah, as long as it goes to good hands. But you got to complain about, Jerry. Go ahead.
At the date of this broadcast, Apple had done a webinar recently on a program called Apple Business Connect. Mm-hmm. And it's basically a thing where on your phone, you could use touch to pay for your business. If you have a bricks and mortar location like High Street in Norwalk.
Yeah, like I do,
like Joe does.
The tumbleweed going by.
You can send pictures of your business, of your closed business, and your hours, you know, when you receive deliveries. And they recently opened it up to people like me who are working, and like Joe, who's working in a van down by the river, and I'm working out of my mother's basement for MacWorks. So Apple Business Connect will let you brand your email by putting like a picture in your logo. Because we all have a logo, right? We can't use the Apple logo, right? Because that's Apple's logo. So you got to have your own logo. And so there's some sort of branding with the email. And if you did touch to pay, the branding would show up. I'm like one of those people where I'll throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. Sure. Give me Apple Business Connect for people who don't have a bricks and mortar location. So I go online and it says, first you need to validate your email address. So I put in a text record on my DNS. So that validated. And then they wanted to have a picture, a background picture, right? So I have this picture of a keyboard and it says something like MacWorks, Connecticut's Apple certified support or something like that. And I wait. And they kick that back and they said, no, you can't have any text on that picture. Okay. So I go into Photoshop and I strip out all the text and I just have this picture of this keyboard with blurred background to it. Nothing fancy. It's an Apple keyboard. Mm-hmm. And then they said, upload your logo. Okay. So I've got this logo that I got from a business card program when I first started in business back in 2007. And it was make your own business card. And it was a Mac program. And they had all these different images you could drop in as a potential logo. So I've got this dumb little green picture, and it's like a circle with two different shades of green, and it's a person in the foreground and a person in the background.
Is it a pipe?
So if you go to my webpage, you could probably find it. It's not worth your time, but I don't know what it means, right? You follow me or something. I don't know. It means nothing to me, but that's my logo. That's what I've had since 2007. And to be stylized, the circle in the projected images are a little off center. So it's not a full circle. It's partially obscured. It's not a full diameter, right? Okay. But that's the logo. That's my logo.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a place for this picture and then a little smaller square to say, upload your logo. So I upload my logo and I wait and I wait and I wait. Another 7 days go by. Finally, it says rejected. And I look and I see the reason. It's because they can't see the whole logo. The logo is partially obscured. But that's the logo. It's off center and part of it's cut off. That's the way
it's just stylized that way. It's not. Man. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I can fix this. Two could play this game. So I recreate a new logo where I move the whole circle on the center and I submit that and they accept it, of course. So now I'm going to get some sort of heavy duty branded email and everything's approved. And I get this message and it says something like incomplete. And I look at this message up above because the images have been approved, the email's been approved, and it says your brand will display later this year. Approved domains and emails will start displaying your brand when categorization in mail is available in iOS and iCloud later this year. Now, at the time of the broadcast, there's only 46 days left to the end of the year. I don't get it. Like, why did we do the webinar? Yeah, what are we waiting for? Why did we do maybe 18.2 to be officially released? I'm not sure. Mr. Apple would probably know. But the whole point is they made a big deal out of this through the ACN. And I love the ACN. And I'm going to be a member. I've been a member since I've been in business, and I'm going to continue to be a member. I want some coupons, but I'm not. That's a subject for another day. But they made such a big deal out of this. And so I jumped through these hoops of fire to move my logo on center and to check all the boxes and make sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. And it doesn't work yet.
I did learn something from this, Jerry, which is that you can do this now if you don't have a bricks and mortar location, because I'm pretty sure Apple Business Connect was previously, they required that.
And I learned this from Adam Rice, who learned it.
Oh, okay.
And so Adam was the one who first brought this to my attention, and they had sent out a missive which said this.
Yeah, I saw that and I skipped it because I've done one in the past about this, and it just didn't get me very far. I had a similar thing where I tried to upload like generic. I bought some stock images of technology looking things because I didn't have photos to put for this purpose. So and they just basically didn't like it. They rejected it because it was a guy with a VR headset kind of thing before the Vision Pro came out, but it was like right before the Vision Pro came out. And it wasn't stealing Apple's thing, but it was maybe implying that it looks like a Vision Pro or whatever. So I think that's why they blocked it, was because out of an abundance of caution, just blocked it because it might have been something Apple related or I don't know what. But I don't know. Maybe there's rules against using stock imagery, or I'm going to have to give this another try because the verified logo program looks interesting to me. So I noticed that actually with Sonoma, like it's supported that before I upgraded, I'm pretty sure, to Sequoia, where, for example, I got an email from Bank of America and it says verified logo, learn more, which is nice. I think like it is a good signal for a client. If they get an email and they're, is this really from Microsoft trying to ask me to whatever? If they can check the logo, that's a lot easier than saying hover over all the links and make sure they look like a real domain. Oh, but it's somebody's typo squatting on a Microsoft. It's too subtle for people to like try to read what the link is, let alone in the world of QR codes and things like that now. But a logo is easy. So if Apple expands the verified logo program and major companies that are subject to scamming would start to use it, people will start to notice that's a verified logo. And when they don't get a verified logo, they'll notice that too. And we're technology people. We might be telling them to try this and log in over here. And we're sending them instructions that could get them into trouble if they think it's from us and it's really not. So it would actually be a good program for us to have as well. I think about this often in the scope of, pop-up messages on the Mac. I got one recently where it's like Dropbox wanted my password to fix the permissions of my home folder. And I'm like, how do I know you're really Dropbox? It's got the Dropbox logo, but that's not going through some kind of vetting process. Anybody can just grab the Dropbox logo, make a little executable, elevate privileges dialog box essentially to ask for the user's login password legitimately and authorize some action that I don't want them to do, to delete my home folder or ransomware encrypt my home folder or whatever. Or for that matter, they could take my login password and just save it for later. That's not necessarily, they can't do that from the system's built-in security prompt, right, for your login password. They can't read the keystrokes, but they could pop up a prompt that looks like the system's security dialog, secure entry dialog box. And instead they can just see what I type and then just remember the login password to do whatever they want in the future. So we need a system where people know that the only way to make this little thing appear on screen is that Apple has verified it or some third party has verified it. We don't have anything like that, but this is like a step in that direction, at least for email, which is where a lot of this stuff originates, obviously. So I like the idea of it and I want to get on board with that too, but that's discouraging that they're saying it's not there. Okay, good job jumping through all the hoops, but now it's still not. You'll get it when you get your Amazon refund, like at some point in the future. Yeah. That's
what
nice.
say you, Mr. Apple, about all this?
I just think it's funny that I keep going back to the off-centered logo. It just makes me
I know. They didn't like your design. They were like, no.
I could see somebody sitting in a cubicle and they're looking at these pictures all day long and, I can't see that. It's cut off. It's cut off.
No, they're right. I mean,
he thinks he's a consultant and he can't even crop the photo right.
I get it. But how do they know that you didn't intend that? That's a weird thing to look for. I actually like the centered one better. I'm seeing it now, Jared. So yeah, good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Is your logo is on center, Joe?
It is. Yeah. It's
okay.
It's a circle.
Yeah. All the cool kids are.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good tip, though. I should get back on that and try to, because some of the other benefits, like I want to do the chat, right? iMessage chat. I don't really think that's going to be that useful for me.
Yeah.
That requires like live chat. I don't want to stand by for that.
And that's not even built into this.
Oh, it's like another program or something that's part of Business Connect, isn't it? Or
it's Business Chat.
It's in a separate portal. Now, what about with your logo? I don't know what the guidelines are. HCS, right? Because those letters are in the logo.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm going to have to reject that. You're just going to have to fill it in, make it blue.
I'll just color it with a marker.
Right. Oh, man.
Does this match? Does this meet your standards?
The things we do. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of scam, so I had a issue come up a few weeks ago that I was baffled by at first. Do you guys want to hear my saga of a scam coming through a PDF?
It's a Microsoft scam, right?
It was Microsoft and Dropbox. Yeah. So the ultimate goal apparently was to get into the user's email. And we have a client with 20 or 30 employees and they use Microsoft 365. We have MFA enforced using Microsoft Authenticator. I thought that was best practice. We've got security defaults enabled. We've got everybody enrolled in MFA, Microsoft Authenticator enforced. Okay, what did I miss, right? Because this shouldn't be able to happen in theory. So the way this presents is we get an email from one of the other employees that says, oh, this person is apparently spamming everybody with this scam saying, what did it say? Hello, I'm trying to send you some documents. It's uploaded in Dropbox. You should receive an email from Dropbox. Please log in to review and let me know if you have any questions, from their full name. And it's from their Microsoft 365 email. I checked the from. It's not like a typo squatting kind of thing where the domain is different. It's literally from them and two other people on the same server. They also have Microsoft Defender, which is supposed to protect against emails coming in that purport to be from an address that they're managing, that they know that, they shouldn't deliver that message if it's coming from outside their server, if it's not qualified to send that email. All right, let me look at this. Yeah, this looks like it really did come from her account. So I get into her account and she says, I don't know what happened. I know what to look for with these prompts. If my phone pops up a message, I have to go in and put in the number. I get it. I know what I'm looking for, and I don't know how I got scammed. And then like offhandedly says, oh, there's this other thing that I remember happening 2 weeks ago. So I look into it and they show the same exact phrasing of the message. Hello, I'm trying to send you some documents. It's uploaded in Dropbox. You should receive an email from Dropbox. So this employee of my client got scammed by someone outside of the company 2 weeks ago. And we didn't notice, she didn't notice, nobody noticed. That's how it came in. And I still am a little baffled as to how they got past the MFA because, again, it was configured, it was enforced. What's the problem here? So best we can tell. So basically they get this email, and it was even more baffling in this case because she says, we were expecting a document from that person around that time. So when this email came in saying, hey, we're sending you this thing through Dropbox, we were looking for it. So we clicked it, went into it, and we like, it wasn't right, or I don't know why I was being asked for my Microsoft credentials. So we closed it. This is what she says. Of course, probably she didn't close it at the time, but tries to cover a little bit maybe. But so the way the scam plays out is you get the warning through email. Hey, look for a Dropbox email in case you weren't expecting it. That's supposed to lower your guard.
Yeah.
Then you get the email from Dropbox. It's a legitimate email. So it says client, it says their full name via Dropbox. And it says it says like their full name in parentheses, their email address, invited you to view the file statement and payment report.pdf on Dropbox. Another one was something spicy. I forget if it was like financial statement.pdf. And so some people I know I'm probably not supposed to be receiving this, but it couldn't hurt to take a peek. So they're clicking it because they're just, I know it's none of my business, but it's their fault for sending it to me. Yeah, exactly. They think they're going to look at salary reports and stuff. Okay, so they click the legitimate link. It's legitimately coming from Dropbox. They get the link to Dropbox. They go to Dropbox. They then sign into Dropbox and they see the PDF. And the PDF, I'll send this, maybe we can put it in the show notes, but it's an actual PDF that has text. It's an invoice or something, or statement or whatever, you can read some of it, but then it's blurred out with a little prompt in the middle that says continue or something like that.
I've seen those.
Log in to continue or whatever.
Yeah.
So they click that, and that's actually a link, of course, to this other domain, impcomp.com. So I was surprised it wasn't a really sketchy looking URL. It's a 7-letter domain, a .com. It's interesting that it's a very short URL. Yeah. I didn't click it. I assume that's the phishing site. But the whole point is they get the warning through email, lower their guard. They get the email from Dropbox. They click the link. They see something, and then they're, I'm almost there. They click the link in the PDF. They're not even maybe sure they're looking at a PDF at that point. So they click it. They think it's a Dropbox preview. I'm not sure what they think. And then they get scammed in theory. But how do they break MFA? So I guess it's a time-sensitive hack because there has to be a hacker that's standing by. But basically, when the person gets to that phishing site, they get their Microsoft password phished at that point, I assume. Yep. And then I forget what you call this, but it's a man in the middle essentially for the MFA stuff, where then they're seeing what they think. So the hacker then logs into Microsoft using the correct password, gets the prompt for the MFA thing, displays the MFA on this fake website. The user goes and puts in the code in their app. So now this hacker's session has been authenticated.
Or could the prompt happen to the actual user and get them in?
They're getting the prompt on their phone where they already have Microsoft Authenticator set up.
Oh.
So the user's putting in their Microsoft credentials to the phishing site. The hacker is intercepting the credentials, putting them in manually or probably automatically to a Microsoft, login window, like the legitimate login window.
Yeah.
The hacker is then getting the prompt for the MFA code. The user doesn't know what number to type in the app. So the hacker has to have, and this is probably automated, the prompt on the correct session that the hacker's running on Microsoft's site is showing the code. So they just need to take that number, please enter this number in your app to approve or whatever, take that number and display it in front of the user on the phishing site. That's not a hard leap to make, really, just how that plays out in practice. I don't know why we've come to expect MFA is so secure, because it seems like that's not that hard to pull off.
But isn't that, I agree with you there. But then the user, if they're entering the MFA on that fake area, I guess I'm confused as to how.
No, they're entering the MFA on their actual real phone.
Okay, they are.
The hacker has the live session with Microsoft with the correct password, gets the prompt to enter number 41 or whatever, and the user's phone lights up at that moment saying, "Is this?" Enter the number shown on your screen to approve. They're looking at the fake login session on their window, which the hacker just displays the code. It's not so hard. Really, when you think about it,
it's hard for me to.
No, it took me a while to process that too. But talking it out now, I'm realizing I don't think it's that complicated to pull that off. It just needs to look like the Microsoft site. Okay, how do you protect against that? So I guess it's the impossible travel. So there's a feature of conditional access, which is, hey, if you are authenticated here at this geographical location, and then you try to authenticate over here 1 hour later, but it would take 6 hours to travel there, we should block that other session. That's an option you can enable.
But that's not available at the entry-level Microsoft Exchange account level, right?
Correct. I think you have to sign up for, I forget what level.
It's a higher tier. We talked about some of the features of conditional access that you can't use with just basic.
Right. Yeah, I use SonicWall Cloud Application Security for this feature, for the impossible travel and other things too. But so it sends up a red flag if someone attempts to log in from another location.
Which in this case was Nigeria of all. It's the guy whose uncle is the king that was deposed or whatever. It's the same guy. I know. But Microsoft doesn't detect that from the beginning. Like, I have to manually say, hey, we're pretty sure none of these people are going to travel to Nigeria for business. I don't know. That should be such an easy one for Microsoft, like Nigeria. So many scams are run through there, right? Yeah. Like, why? It's not a leap to say.
Yeah, my dad potentially got scammed, and I said, "You're telling the guy from Nigeria what the name of your banks are," because the person was posing as AppleCare, right? And my wife chimed in the background, "Oh, it could have been the United States." But here's the point: it's not Lagos, Nigeria, especially, is a hotbed for not only these types of scams, but every single catfish video. And if you're not familiar with that, go on YouTube and just put in catfish. It's these people who get scammed because they think that they're talking with either some glamorous person that they don't recognize, or in many cases, it's some old guy in Maine in his 80s who thinks he's going to run off with Jennifer Aniston. Yeah. And Jennifer Aniston is communicating back and forth with him. And it's very sophisticated. It's not just, hey, baby, send me money. It's a long play. It's the long tail. And these guys, men and women, are so sophisticated that they've gotten over the hurdles of the broken English. And so the communications that you see on some of these videos are extremely, obviously it's, we're not in some romance scam, and we know that Jennifer Aniston isn't going to reach out to us to want to run off with us. But these people get scammed for hundreds of thousands. And that seems to me like an easier play than trying to go through the sophisticated scam that you just mentioned, Joe. But it's rife and it's all from Nigeria. Yeah. It's amazing.
Again, it seems, first of all, there's one problem, which is like the people that are running these scams from Nigeria just need to get a VPN, and then they're going to be in free. Right. I don't know. Can Microsoft detect that this certain VPN service is often? So that's a way to work around the impossible travel issues. Like, you just need to know like where the company is located, where most of the employees probably are if you're running a scam, right? And then you get a VPN to that location. So now you can bypass the impossible travel part of conditional access and try to run these scams. But it's like low-hanging fruit just to block Nigeria. I'm sorry to that country, but you run a lot of scams. So probably we should block a lot of stuff by default.
Yeah.
Sam, I know we're running out of time, but can you just talk briefly, that SonicWall feature that you use, you have to be using a SonicWall and subscribe to one of these services to take advantage of that, or how does that work?
You don't have to have the hardware necessarily. So they have just the cloud functionality. So we use that for mail filtering, inbound, outbound, as well as the impossible travel feature, which right now, like, we started out as a warning so that we get an alert, but we can also block certain regions and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And do you have any ideas on the barrier to entry on that for MSPs that are listening to this? Can anybody sign up? And
it's like another $5-6 a month per user.
But let's say
talking about that's all the conditional access part with Microsoft
for the
Defender. Oh, for the Sonic Wall part. Okay.
Yeah, but you could sit, like you're saying, you don't have to have a Sonic Wall hardware. You could just sign up for this program.
Yeah, we do it through a vendor, but yes, you could. You don't have to have the hardware at all.
And is there a minimum number of seats for a instance?
I don't think so. We have a 12, 13 person company using it, so I don't believe so. And just as a side note, Adam Rice in the chat has a few thoughts on this too. He's talking about a canary token on the 365 login form. I wasn't familiar with that. Maybe he can elaborate on that for us too.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. He also says he's had the same kind of man-in-the-middle attack on a client, which is pretty scary. Adam says also you have to pay for the highest Microsoft Defender license to enable that conditional access and dynamic risk detection. Most of his clients don't want to pay for it. Or he says a higher Entra ID license. So this is exactly what came up for me, where when I reached out to Microsoft, how did this happen? Help me here, because we thought we were doing the right thing. In fact, I went over this with you, Jerry, but we went through, Tim and I, all of our best practices that we've learned over the last 5 or 10 years or whatever in protecting against this stuff, and charted it out and made a list of all our clients. And we're systematically going through all the clients that we've been managing for a long time. Best practices have evolved and changed over the years. We've got to go back and retroactively apply some of this stuff. We thought we had it all buttoned up. Now there's this whole new layer of man-in-the-middle attacks on Microsoft Authenticator. So I reached out to Microsoft and they said, and I found out, by the way, about that 2 week prior is like when this person was hacked, was compromised. I figured that out because I knew based on the original email. And they also added rules in her mail account to filter things out and to put them into the mailbox. I forget, like an innocuous looking mailbox. I forget what it is, but it's, I think, one of the built-in ones. So they're filtering out anything that mentions Dropbox, scam, or hacked. So,
wow.
Isn't that amazing? So I think I've been hacked. And I respond back, oh no, like that does look scary. Like right away you have to, and like she doesn't see my response because her message said hacked or my message said hacked or whatever. So really messed up. So based on that, I knew the date of when this all happened. So I said to Microsoft, how did she get compromised? And they said, oh, I'm so sorry, but as the license you have is just the entry level one, we only have the logs going back a week. So we can't see that thing that happened to you 2 weeks ago. So shrug. Like they didn't know what happened. And I'm like, really? Like you guys, don't you want to know how this happened? like I have to have been paying you for how many months, whatever amount of money per user for you to be able to even tell me how this happened. And since we weren't paying you, like you basically can't help me and essentially don't care. Don't you care, to protect your infrastructure and your customers? It's just, that frustrated me too. So the same exact answer there. But yeah, so Adam goes on to say, Tycoon 2FA is the attack that he was hit by, and the canary token alerts you by email if someone accesses a web page that's a clone of your organization's 365 login form. I'm still not quite sure how that works. Can you interpret that, Sam? Do you have any sense of what Adam might be saying there?
I assume it works through the API with 365 somehow. I'm not really sure, but maybe you can throw in a link and stuff. And
it looks like there's a number of companies that offer this canary token, so we could maybe find out what Adam's using.
Doesn't it just feel like we're always like, okay, I didn't know about this. Now I'm chasing a new thing that I got to protect. It's like always behind the 8 ball, it feels like.
Totally. It's a cat and mouse game, as we've said for the longest time, right? But exactly my point. It's like I thought we had it pretty buttoned up at this point with security defaults and MFA, especially with Microsoft Authenticator. That's supposed to be better than SMS or whatever options. The issue also was that the hacker then at that point in that session must have then enrolled their own device, because we went into her MFA methods and we see 3 iPhones listed. Her current iPhone, which we knew because of the iOS version, her previous iPhone, which we knew by name, which for some reason, like the new iPhone didn't have the specific name, but it had the iOS version, and the old iPhone had a name but not the iOS version listed. So that was like really weird in Microsoft's system. And then a third phone that didn't have any information, but we could infer that must have been the hacker, that they actually enrolled an iPhone with Microsoft Authenticator on her account. That's the level it got to. They're targeting this organization. So on the bright side, I think we have like more leverage to now sell them on these higher levels of protection, but it's to your point, Sam, it's crazy that it takes this kind of thing to happen for us to see what the issue is, to then be able to sell the client on the service after the fact. I didn't know that this was even necessary, and I didn't think I would be able to sell it to them until this actually happens at this point. So,
yeah, it's always chasing our tail.
So one last bit of detail on that is that Dropbox then quite aggressively wants to add people to your Dropbox team. Have you guys noticed that as well? Mm-hmm. So then we start to see that all these people that got the scam from my client, the employee of my client, because it's like an old school virus, right? She got scammed with the Dropbox method into Microsoft 365. Now her account is being used to scam other people using the same method. We then get all these prompts like, John Smith, and then in parentheses, their email, wants to join the Dropbox team, whatever the name is. After you approve their request, you can add them to the groups and folders. They have access, blah, blah, blah. So Dropbox is trying to get you to give them more money by approving these outsiders to join your team, because when the outsider gets the link to a single file in your Dropbox that you've shared, they get asked if they want to ask to join the team. Hey, you can join this team now and just be part of their whole Dropbox and have all their stuff. Who does that benefit? It benefits Dropbox, not us. Yeah. So that's also a lingering scam, is that if there's other admins in your Dropbox, they're going to get an email saying, John Smith at whatever company wants to join your Dropbox team. And you can just click approve right in the email. So now you're paying more money and you've just granted access to your Dropbox account to this outsider. And then we get a reminder a week later, 6 people want to join your Dropbox team, with the approve request next to it. I just thought that was adding insult to injury at the very end there.
That is.
Yeah. We were seeing that same thing with Dropbox behavior. I share out shared licenses for Adobe Creative Cloud to Edu client. And so I just provide them a Dropbox download link, but then people interpret that, and Dropbox interprets that these people want to join your team. Yeah. So it's just a new way that they're doing business. What's really interesting to me is like all these sophisticated and not so sophisticated with catfish is coming from Nigeria. And yet when we look online for YouTube for all these telephone scams, that's all coming from India, which is interesting. It's like they pick their poison and they're staying with it.
Yeah.
On a country by country level like that. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Man.
Crazy stuff.
Be safe out there. I'm still learning about this. I don't know what the solution is. The other solution is then add MFA to Dropbox, because this user didn't have that. We didn't enforce that. And because they got into Microsoft email, of course, they were able to then get into her Dropbox, which Dropbox helpfully lets you reset your password, but not sign out all users. So they got in by resetting her password. The email was filtered out into a folder. They got into her Dropbox and just helpfully said, no, let her stay logged in. So she was none the wiser. And then they added their phone number to her Dropbox account as the MFA. So now she's locked out from getting back in. So as an admin, we had to get her back. Yeah.
Nightmare.
I mean, multiple levels of nightmare. And I was just like, I thought we're past all this. So fair warning.
Nope.
Yep. Oof.
Do you charge by the hour on that?
Yeah, we did, through the Microsoft calls, the getting her back in, getting them out, what we learned about it, what we recommend implementing. We're reviewing all the users now, and Tim found a couple more that had been also scammed. So yeah, total nightmare, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna call up you, Joe, when I have this problem with one of my clients.
I was going to call you. That's why we've been charting out the spreadsheet of clients and issues to address.
You're never around, Sam. You know, you're in some exotic country on a rooftop in China.
Electricity and heat turn back on. I'm good to go, and then I'll help out whoever needs it.
Speaking of scams, I got to wrap this up with one last thing. Scams running from, Jerry, you said your wife said, they could be in the United States also. Like, how do we know that they're running these scams from Nigeria?
Yeah.
I've got a movie recommendation. I'm never the one to recommend these movies, but if you need a little cathartic cleansing from dealing with scammers and being frustrated, how do they get away with this? Why do they drive me so crazy? Watch this movie called The Beekeeper. So The Beekeeper, I didn't read anything going in. I read something like the little synopsis was like, it's about a man, maybe ex-military, like chasing scammers who stole money. He's like avenging the fact that they stole money from this like innocent old lady kind of situation. So I think, that'll be a fun little whodunit kind of situation or whatever. So Ashley and I went into it. She stopped watching because it just became way too violent. But I finished it, and I was impressed with the creative ways that they found to basically kill a room full of scammers. Like this one guy going in, it reminded me of Die Hard or something, where it's this one guy avenging whatever, and he's taking them down room by room or person by person. But ever more creative ways to kill a room full of scammers. But they're all in this country is the twist. And there's more to the twist. It was engaging enough, but probably way too violent. I wouldn't watch it again because it was so violent. But if you need some catharsis from going through a scam like this, the movie can serve that purpose.
Well, if they're from this country, it's clearly fiction.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping anybody, especially in this new world we live in now, from going into business as a scammer right from here. They got the home field advantage. I wouldn't put it past anybody, but yeah. Thanks for listening to a little bit of a longer episode of Command Control Power, and thank you guys for hanging in there. And we'll have another show for you next week. And in the meantime, check us out on Patreon if you need more great content, commandcontrolpower.com, and click on support for more great episodes of Command Control Power on Patreon with more of a peek behind the scenes. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks again.
Of customers of all kinds.
Am I on the cloud?
Joe spins his deeply detailed yarns all the time.
I have a whole story about this.
Sam is on the road again, phoning in from a hotel.
At least we know where I am.
Half a cent.